And now coming to MEP Sicarel, I think based on what Mattia has said here, we've had the conference and we've had youth engagement through that. But going forward, and based on your own work within the Cult Committee in the European Parliament and with education, and also, of course, thinking of the upcoming elections in 2014, how do you think that the European institutions should engage people now going forward, engage young people, of course, now going forward in the democratic processes?
Bonsoir, good evening. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation. And I want to tell just a few words about make.org, because I was lucky enough to be in Lille, in France, to discover the conclusions of the work of these French and German groups, and I was very impressed by the methods. So I want really to congratulate you and to say that I think that it's a very sophisticated method, and just. We have a Renew Europe group, my group at the Parliament. We have decided to create a task force, youth task force, and I would really dream about, maybe having a partnership with you, because it's not, you are speaking about Agora, etc. But as you said, when you have a lot of participants, if you want really to have something out of it, it's important to have the method, and I was really impressed. So I tell you very frankly. And second, I really share with you the idea that we are going through dangerous times with populism growing in some of our countries, and that in history we see that totalitarianism can emerge when you have a great number of people that are indifferent, not engaged, and a little number of very determined people that want to attack and to destroy democracy. And then, hopefully, you have also these minorities engaged, but the engagement of society is the best antidote against totalitarianism. So it is, so what you have been describing, and I think it's very, very important. It's a political function. What we are doing now is absolutely crucial. So and I also wanted to say that I'm very often meeting young people, and what I observe is that you are a very engaged generation. But you have suffered during the pandemic, it's clear. So I'm very happy to have this year. And it will be, I have a good news for you. It's very likely that we will have 6 months more in order to do more for you. So it will be a year and a half. We could do 2 years, maybe we will, but this is, so I think that you are not, you have suffered, but you are not, you don't like victimization. You want, the means to act, and you want to be heard, and you want to participate. And for me, it's very, so this is very striking. And I wanted to say that, of course, we have to do much more. And I think that the Conference for the Future of Europe is a huge event. And for me, it's not, and thank you for all what you have done, but it's only a beginning. And we agree on that. It's a new way of writing politics. It's not, an event, a kind of communication to say, you participate, and then there is some conclusion. There are 49 very important proposals, but it will, it was very clear at the conclusion session that it's a new way of writing politics together. So this is for me a beginning, and a very, very important beginning. But we are not, it's not perfect, but I just want to share with you that we are not it's not null what you are doing now. I mean, first of all, the young people have been heard. I think that now, if you observe, we are divided in commissions, and environment commission, we call it ENVI, environment, whose chair is my colleague Pascal Canfin. Is a very, very powerful commission. It's one of the most powerful commissions in the Parliament. A few years ago, it was a kind of marginal commission that nobody cares about. So this, and the fact that we have engaged ourselves to be the first a climate neutral continent in 2050 is a huge event. So of course it's not enough, of course, and I know that you want more, and we have to be in this dialogue to do more and to hear you, but we are engaged in this climate change, and this is thanks to the youth. It's absolutely clear. So this is the first illustration of the fact that youth is heard. And the second thing is I want to give you the example of the European Civic Service, when it's one of the priority of the French presidency of the Council, and it was an idea given by young people. You know, it's a collective for the European Civic Service, and we are. I mean, I was very proud to have an amendment adopted, massively adopted, for a call for a civic. So I won't be able to speak a lot about it, but I am free to answer the question. But it comes from the youth. So, but we have to do more. So I just conclude in describing new tools that we have created thanks to this conference. First of all, you will have a platform, a digital platform, where you can express your views on EU legislation, supporting local authorities in setting up local youth council. So you will have a tool to express yourself. And second, which is very important, it is a wish, but I'm sure that we are going to implement it. It's the idea of a youth check. And you know, we have today a climate check. I mean, as soon as you give, you know, a euro, now you have to check that it is okay with our objectives, and it will be the same for the youth. So every legislation will go through this youth check. So it will be an impact assessment and a consultation mechanism. So this is, you know, so this is a proposal, and I'm sure that it will be implemented. And it's a big event. I mean, so I trust you take it. And I think that, just to conclude, I read a very interesting study recently in France, written by a sociologist named Frédéric Dabi, and it's a scientific data that show that why young people are a bit skeptical about politics. It's not because they think that politicians are insincere, but because they think that they are powerless. So I think it's interesting. It gives a kind of humility, but I think it's important to have the young people decide with us, because when you decide, then you understand that it's not so easy, that you have to have a compromise and consensus and very complex data to take into account. And second, I think it's very important not only to associate the young people to the decision, but also to encourage them to have a very practical, to have action in their countries at the local level, to see that you can do things. I mean, that, you know, it's not so powerless. So to have the whole process of deciding and having also the responsibility to, and I'm very attached, for instance, you know, in the schools, we are developing in France, you know, the idea of having the young people involved in the reducing the carbon empreinte. I don't know the word in English. Footprint. So this, but they decide, and so they are working with all the people around and it works, and they see that yes, politics can have an impact, and this is a way also to reconcile them with politics.
So maybe to finish up, to finish up this part before we go to the floor for questions, I'll pose the same questions to you all. We've heard the barriers you've presented to us here of engaging young people. And of course, this is the European Year of the Youth, and we've just finished the conference, and we have the elections upcoming in 2024, which it would be great to get further engagement by that stage even. And from each of your perspectives, from the perspective of the Commission, from your perspective as a representative in the European Parliament, and also yourself in the European Youth Parliament, what is the key thing that needs to be done going on from the conference, in as short as perhaps you can do it at this point? What is the key thing that you think needs to be done, and to make sure also that it's an inclusive and diverse engagement? I understand this is not an easy question to answer, and there's 100 million perhaps ways you could answer it, but just it would be really great to get your thoughts on that. So go to MEP Agora first perhaps, and then Mattia, and then we'll finish up with yourself. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I will do as short as possible for this very, very important question. I would say that, you know, if we want this year and a half youth, year and a half devoted to the youth, being really reach all the youth, and not only, you know, from time to time, we are convinced, we are all convinced by the necessity of Europe, I think, but from time to time, you know, Europhile speak to Europhile, and it's very difficult. So first of all, I think that we are in a time not of Euro romanticism. I think that we have to be Euro pragmatic. If we want to convince people that are not already convinced, you have to show in all the different domains that Europe is bringing you something that you wouldn't have had without it. And so first, just to tell you that we have almost double, as you know, Erasmus, and our priority is to reach the young people that are far from Europe. And so it goes with also being far from what we call, you know, to be included in society. So this is really, and so for instance, I am very much in favor of the development of the Erasmus for apprentices. And so it is growing and growing. It is very important. And I want to share with you the fact that we have a very important new program proposed by the Commission, ALMA, to reach the NEET, the young that are not in education or in employment, and it is very important. So to reach really all, so they have to have a European experience, and so you can help us reaching them. So this is how to communicate with them. How can we imagine, you know, to wait for them, you know, in the specific places we have in our countries, but to go to them, so I think that there is plenty of things to imagine, to aller vers, with, you know, and this is a main challenge. Second, I think that we have to recognize that when you are engaged in a solidarity activity, and I know that it is a great expectations from the youth, that to have a common recognition of all the skills that you get when you are involved in a solidarity activity. And this is very important because I know that young people are waiting for it, but also because if you want to embark these young people, you know, less convinced by Europe, less used to mobility, to come to mobility, to come to another country to get involved, or you have to give them something, and you have to reassure also their families that they will get something in terms of employability. And I tell you, and I can't develop, but I can testify that these young people, apprentices, or that the more reluctant they were, the more satisfied they come back with self-confidence, with all these what we call competences of the 21st century, capacity to communicate, capacity to innovate, to adapt to a new environment. These skills are absolutely key, and it is very difficult to convey this kind of skills. How can you convey that? I know that our Finnish friends are very gifted in that, but it's not very easy. But when you go to a mobility experience, or when you are involved in a solidarity activity, you gain so much what we call psychosocial competences. But I would like, and I'm fighting for that with young people, so you can help us as well, to have, and I tell it in front of the Commission because we need you, to have really a formal recognition of these skills, not only, if you, that recognized by all the employers, public or private, and this can make, this could be a really game changer. So I think that this is fair, because this is what you acquire when you get involved in a solidarity activity or mobility, and that's how we will reach and embark the young that are not so attached to Europe, because they don't know, they are not aware of what Europe can bring them. This is the idea that I have, but I think that just a single last word. I'm very sensitive to what you said about informal education. I think we have to make a big bang to change completely our pedagogy of civic education. We just finished a report about civic education. I think that it has to be very lively, to create a parliament, to come to the parliament, to visit the national parliament, but they have to live something, because of course academic knowledge is important. I don't want to say that it is not important, but we have insisted in this very recent report adopted very recently in plenary that we have to be really in these informal and European experiences, and that's the way to reach a larger public, especially in the youth.
Question from the people online. The European experience is a testimony to a possible lasting diplomatic peace. How can young Europeans be peace-promoting agents for the rest of the world in times of such instabilities? Thank you.
Yes, I think that we, as Renew Europe group, is a very, very pro-European group. It's not so obvious, we have anti-European groups also in the parliament. So, I think that we are absolutely convinced, with President Macron as well, that Europe has to become a power. And a power, it means to be more engaged in terms of military power, in terms of sovereignty, in terms of energy. So this is, all, and we see that everything is interlinked. And it has been our, I arrived in the parliament in 2019. We have been elected in 2019. It was but it was not obvious for everyone. And what I feel is that we are going, as you said, we are going through really a kind of great change of Europe. And I think that there is a consensus being built now that we have to go further in terms of making of Europe a real power, in terms of independence, in terms of industrial independence, energy independence, and to have a military also power to, and this is on the way. The process is being accelerated, and this is what we are going through is hard, but from time to time, and that Europe has always reinforced itself through crisis, and we are going through a crisis, but this crisis is going to reinforce us. It's obvious, and today we have received the the president of Moldavia, and we, as we are very, very involved in the aggression of Ukraine by Russia, and it gives all its sense to our community as a political community, and it's a kind of, so of course we have to build. It's not easy, but we are building it, and I'm sure that more and more citizens are aware and involved in this building of a strong Europe. So I'm quite optimistic. I know that we are going through difficult times, But what I see in the parliament, what I see in the citizen support of Europe, make me think that world need Europe, because you have nothing out of Europe to save. I mean, the idea of democracy, the idea of independence of powers, and it's a kind of evidence today. So it's hard, but it will reinforce Europe. And so yes, you can never guarantee for the future, but I'm sure that, you know, Brexit as well was a very bad news, but you saw that the 27 states were felt even closer, but because we realized that it can happen. So I think that we have to be confident in Europe, and what we are talking about. I mean, the fact that citizens are more and more involved in the decision is absolutely essential. We have to listen to these specialists of the day-to-day life. It's a beautiful way of saying it by this Italian citizen. I was amazed by this expression. And we have also, I also answered to the of course, all the new technologies, a new way of, we have full of humility, and we need, you know, this all this creativity coming from the youth and from also the entrepreneurship world. So welcome, and this is the time to come and help us.
So as we were speaking, or as you were speaking a lot about participation so far, I was wondering what chances do you see for the youth dialogue to get improved or enforced, because the youth dialogue already has proven its success in the past years, and maybe it's a good chance to improve it. And what do you think on this topic? And in addition to that, what also could you personally do to increase the influence or the outreach of the EU youth dialogue? Thank you.
Yes, I would like to insist, of course, on the word youth and all the tools that we are developing, and you have understood that we are going through a kind of revolution in terms of participation of the citizen, and especially the youth. But I will take very seriously the word dialogue, because I think there is a philosopher named Martin Buber who used to say that a dialogue is a situation when each party is ready to change. I mean, to leave the place having changed. And it is very rare in our society, a real dialogue. Not a place where you are, you know, screaming your what you feel, and it is important. I mean, but you know, to have really the respect. A dialogue, it's a two people or a few people respecting, and this is very important. And I think that in the world, I mean, we are under the reign of the algorithms. I mean, we are all kind of imprisoned in a way, because we are, as you know. You go to the net, and you are, you know, you can read people with which you agree, and there is this kind of bias, and this is a big challenge, because we are all in this process of being imprisoned with people that share our views. So I think that to revitalize this dialogue is very important. And what I am experiencing in the, I don't want, you know, to idealize it, but it is true that the European Parliament is in a way a great parliament, because we have this culture of dialogue and compromises, not compromissions. Compromissions, you are losing, you are giving up in what is essential to you. But to compromise is to find the consensus or something that we have in common, and the dialogue can help. And so there is a culture of dialogue to rebuild for maybe so this is dialogue with the youth, to hear the youth, to have, but also having the young people listen to each other. And I am sure that one of our challenge is to rebuild this culture of dialogue, which is absolutely essential and fundamental in democracy, because this is what democracy is about. So to share and to be able to respect each other. And this is something that is in a way not eternal, but we have to cherish it and to develop it in the new generation spirits. And as soon as you are involved in a very pragmatic way of, okay, I decide and I dialogue with people that are in other situations than mine, and I am trying to build a solution, you have a kind of moderate and more complex way of contemplating the challenges. And this is, it is not, it doesn't mean that you should be moderate and not be passionate and not be, but this is something that we are lacking very often. So thank you for having used this word that is very important. And we have, yes, but in many ways to convey this culture of dialogue, also in the schools, but also in all the informal spaces that we have to build, and us to help you building.